you'll have to forgive me. This video is going to be unscripted. I want something out for May, and I have something I'd really like to talk about and share with you guys. So, DC High Volume. This is amazing. First of all, I found DC High Volume through my show. I have a show I run with my buddy Derek. It's called the Variety Voiceover Nerdcast. I've promoted it on here a couple times, but part of it is at the end we give each other challenges to help each other get more into different aspects of nerd culture. I'm more into comics. He's more into anime. So I'll give him a comic. He'll give me an anime to watch. And then we come back and talk about it. It's really cool. Part of that is, you want to be able to give out the big stories, the main ones, as a start, right? Thing is, I've been into superheroes my whole life. Here is a picture of me dressed as Robin as a kid. And here's a picture of me dressed as Nightwing last year. Thing is, though, I haven't always been into comics. I had comics as a kid, but a lot of the time I'd rather just watch the cartoon or the movie or play the game. I had real bad ADHD, and I still do, so it's kind of hard to just sit and read. But in more recent time, I've gotten more appreciative of actual comics themselves, and the more and more I dive into them, the more and more I want to read more of them. And part of that is these stories, starting off with these big stories. And what I wanted to do is ease him into the big three. When you're talking about comic books and superheroes, your first thought is probably Batman, Spider-Man, Superman. Those are the big three of comics as a whole. So I wanted to give him some pretty essential reading for those three I want to say towards the beginning. I didn't do it right away because I really just wanted him to read Invincible, so the first 3 episodes are him reading Invincible. Long story short, for the show, I gave him Batman Year One, written by Frank Miller and art done by David Mazzucchelli? Mazzucchelli? Thank you, Robot Voice. But this is one that I had never read myself before. There are a lot of comic books where I know the story, I know what happens in these books. I've seen a lot of different YouTube breakdowns and things of the nature, podcasts, people talking about it, interactions with just other people who are into this stuff, talking about this stuff. I knew what happened in this book, but I'd never read it myself. And so when I do that, there's been a couple times I've given him books where part of the challenge is also I'm going to read it with you because I've never read this one before. But I had a really rough week when I gave him this book, and I wasn't able to read it myself. So instead, I went on to Spotify. And as I was going through trying to find a podcast or something that talks about Batman Year One as some sort of, synopsis, breakdown, summary, whatever you want to call it, I wanted to know the story so that I was informed and I was able to talk about it whenever we got to the show. Surprisingly enough, there are, at least none that I could find, there are not a whole lot of comic book podcasts that are talking about Batman Year One. Now, obviously, I know this is an older book. This book was written in 1986. So it's not like the most recent thing in the world, but Batman Year One is an influential story. This is some of Frank Miller's best work. This has been adapted multiple times. Batman Begins takes a lot from this book. The Batman of 2022 takes a lot from this book. This book is a big deal when it comes to comic books as a whole. So it shocked me that no one's really talking about this book at all. I know, like I said, it's old ground, whatever, but not a single one of these podcasts that I could find where we're breaking down or talking about Batman Year One. What I did find, I got there eventually. I found Batman, the Batman rendition of DC High Volume. Now, to my knowledge, there's only Batman right now. This is a newer thing. Episodes are still releasing. In fact, at the time of recording, an episode came out last week. This is an audio drama. And for those unfamiliar with what those are, they're essentially like fully voice acted. There's sound effects. There's a lot of audio production that goes into them. And essentially, they're like movies without the visual. A lot of the building with audio dramas is done solely with the sound design. Because obviously, with an audio format, you have no way to visualize what is going on aside from letting them hear it. I've always really, really liked audio dramas. When I was a kid, my dad used to put on Doctor Who audio dramas when we were in the car. It was super cool. We'd go into like my brother's baseball games or whatever sport they played. I didn't really pay a whole lot of attention. I was listening to Doctor Who audio dramas. And he'd put it on, and it would be like the 10th Doctor going on this adventure. You don't see that in the show. Are they canon? I mean, I don't know. But it was just a lot of fun, just listening to this movie almost. But I haven't really listened to any of those since I was a kid. And it was really cool finding this DC High Volume where the very first story they break down is Batman Year One. And I think what's really interesting is it seems like they're taking this in the direction of having a singular continuity. Now, at the time of recording, their rendition of Batman Year One is done. They finished that one. I believe it's 4 parts, and it's very, very, very good. Please go listen to it. They're currently putting out Batman The Long Halloween, and all the voice casts from Batman Year One carry over. And there's a little bit of plot point that kind of seems to carry over from Batman Year One. This relationship that's building between Harvey Dent and Commissioner Gordon, and the two of them with Batman as well. I love that it seems the buildup is leading to a single continuity. This is one Batman, one Gotham, one Gordon, one Dent, one. A lot of these stories that are released as a single individual trade are just that. It's a singular Batman story. It doesn't necessarily connect to anything else. This is a Batman story for your enjoyment, which is part of the reason I like collecting these more than anything else. But it's nice watching this continuity where it's not confusing. You just pick up and you listen. That's a big problem I have with comics. It's really hard to get. It's convoluted. I'm a big fan of Nightwing. Nightwing is one of the few comics I was actually picking up and reading as it was coming out. I think 2-3 years ago. The Tom Taylor run. Side note: Tom Taylor Nightwing. Ooh, so good, so good. Please go read Tom Taylor Nightwing. There's like six trades of that if anyone's interested. But they did an event in the DC universe toward the end of Tom Taylor's run. I can't remember what it's called, Beast Wars or something like that, where Beast Boy has to turn into his own version of Starro, and instead of releasing these like little mind control things, they all turn people into animals, right? Kind of a cool concept. But the problem is that Beast Wars thing took over all of DC at the time. So to understand my Nightwing book I was reading, I had to read Titans. But to understand Titans, I had to read Beast Wars. And part of Beast Wars was Beast Wars Batman and Superman and Justice League. And I think Wonder Woman had a story in there too. I think Harley Quinn had a story in there. I want to read Nightwing. Why can't I read Nightwing? Just let me read Nightwing. Is it a problem to read Nightwing? Nightwing's awesome. I like Nightwing a lot. I'm wearing a Nightwing shirt right now. My point is, I like when stories, especially comic book stories, can stay concise. They seem to have a problem with staying concise. Comic books are in a weird space right now. These characters, these stories are massive. You look at the hype right now coming out for James Gunn's Superman, and that's just DC. You look at the state of the MCU, people are still going to these movies even though everyone claims that they're all terrible now. Every other week it's the MCU's dead, but they're still tuning in. People care about these characters, they care about these concepts. But comics themselves are not something that is still regularly indulged in by the general public. I guess regular books have had the opportunity to branch off into audiobooks. I love audiobooks. I work a manual job where I spend a lot of time by myself doing work, and it helps a lot putting in an earbud and listening to a podcast or a story or something. On our show, the Variety Voiceover, I recently talked about this book I had just finished called Armada by Ernest Cline, and I listened to that one entirely on audiobook, as well as the other 2 books I've read by Ernest Cline, Ready Player One and Ready Player Two, which you should read. The book is significantly better than the movie. Comic books don't have that easy of an out because obviously they're drawn. This art is fantastic. Look at this. This is from '86, and it still looks this good. I think that you lose a lot when you take away the art. And that's always been one of the hardest parts as far as adapting comic books into an audio format. And unfortunately, you do lose that. I don't think that by listening to DC High Volume, you should not read the comic. I have since gone and actually read the comic. I own it physically. I bought it. It's great. However, I think that this format is the audiobook equivalent for comics. Having this high action where you can actually hear punches being thrown, jumping from rooftop to rooftop. the rain, the puddle splashing under Batman's feet, gunshots going on. Like, you feel there, you feel invested. It's like tuning into a show. That's what comic books need. I think that this is a perfect middle ground as a way to help get people into comics. You could argue that's what the movies and games have been doing for years. That's how I got into them. Like I said, I grew up watching Superhero Squad. I get it. But this is the most equivalent to me of picking up reading a comic where you can do it while you're working, or you can do it while you're on a car drive. You know, this is the comic book way of listening while you do something else, which is something that, as someone with ADHD, I do all the time. Like I said, a lot of these stories I know because I've put something on in the background while I'm playing Minecraft or something. The actors do such a great job. The writing, the adaptation of these comics is fantastic. Like I said, I listened to it first before I read the comic. And so much of this still came through with the weight that it needed to through this format. I found it. I'm just really excited to see where this goes. This is a format, like I said, I've been into for a long time, and it has done nothing but prove itself to be worth listening to. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. And on that note, I would like to say, if you're continuing in a linear pattern, DC High Volume, DC, whoever I got to talk to, what is Batman without Robin? Okay? And who is Robin if not young Nightwing? So here is my pitch, right? DC High Volume, you're going to need somebody down the line to play Robin, and then later down the line to play Nightwing. And look at me. I'm not going to be able to do it in live action. I have no acting chops physically whatsoever. I'm fat. But I could do the voice. I could do the voice for Robin and then Nightwing. I could be like, what are we going to do, Batman? I'm Robin, and I'm the boy one. I'm trying to, the high inflection for young Robin, he'd be like, Batman, what are we going to do? We have to stop the Joker. And then Nightwing could be like, yeah, Batman, I'm out in Bloodhaven now, just swinging through the city and eating tons of chili. There's nothing to do with chili. Final notes. I apologize, this video is kind of all over the place, but I just really want to talk about this, and I think that a more ranty felt natural. Please go listen to DC High Volume. I think that this needs support. I think that as fans of comics, of these characters, I think that the only way to actually get more of what we're looking for is to support the stuff they put out when it's what we want. And at least as far as I'm concerned, this is what I want. This is format. I want more of this, more than just Batman. Give me a Flash one. Give me a Superman one. Give me a Wonder Woman one. Give me a Green Lantern one. Could you imagine an audio space opera with Green Lantern? Oh, man, that'd be awesome. Support it. And if we could get some kind of, like, Camden for Nightwing going, that would be fantastic. I'm sure I don't need to say this because I'm tiny and my channel has, like, 4,000 subscribers, which, first of all, thank you. Holy crap. My Omniverse video has been doing pretty well as well. Very grateful for all the support. Always am. Thank you so much. But to be clear, these are all my expressed opinions. You know, I'm not in any way affiliated with DC as much as I wish I was. But I think it's important to note that I'm not being told to say anything. I just think this is really cool, and I want more people to think that it's cool. But on that note, thank you so much for watching. It's greatly appreciated. Like I said, all the support has been humongous, and I am eternally grateful. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and ring the bell notification button so you're notified every time Comeback Kid Films has a new video. If you're looking for more nerd content, like I said, I run a podcast with my buddy Derek. It's called The Variety Voiceover. The link to it will be in the description. We just talk about a variety of nerd stuff. Comics, anime, gaming, D&D, a whole bunch. So if you're interested, go check that out as well. But on that note, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.